Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and as you guys know, one of my favorite things ever is answering all of your questions, okay? So today I said, why not go on Instagram and post a questionnaire saying, hey, any questions, ask me, and make a full video on YouTube about it. So that's basically what I'm doing for today's video. By the way, if you missed out today, don't worry. Follow me on Instagram at TommyBryson. If you guys like this video right here, well, I'll get to work on making another one for next time, okay? This way, next time when I post a video, you guys don't miss out, get to ask me questions. This way, I can make a whole video answering all of your questions. By the way, it's the first one ever, so if you do like this video right here, like it, that way I know, and I keep making them. And on top of it, if you're new here, make sure to also go ahead and subscribe and the bell so you get notified, because basically, I post videos every single day. Now guys, let's get started officially. Now as you guys know, I like to be transparent here, okay? So this right here is my cell phone. To prove it, let's go over to calculator, type in random numbers, boom. As you guys know, this is my phone, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead and delete, boom. It's my phone, real questions, everything is right here. So now let's go over to Instagram, okay? Now this right here is my Instagram. By the way, Graham Stephan posted something. Let's see what he posted here. He's talking about, not sure how much of this is sponsored, but I gotta say, Red Casino, I don't know what's going on here. Graham moved to Las Vegas, don't know about Vegas. I don't really know what's going on in Vegas anymore, okay? But let's go over to the questions you guys actually have here, okay? So boom, let's go here all the way to the end. By the way, if you guys watch my stories, I appreciate it a ton, so thank you guys so much. But here are all the questions right here. And by the way, I only gave it 2 hours. Next time I'll do 23 hours, that way like everyone can actually comment and stuff like that, because basically this time I want to try it out. So basically I didn't want to get a lot of questions because basically I wouldn't get the chance to answer everything, okay? But here we go guys, okay? The first question is by S_Hernandez52. By the way, thank you for the question, bro. And the question is, how do I buy a house out of state to rent it out, since buying a house in California is ridiculous? By the way, I agree. California is so expensive, and that's why when I was like, should I move there? The answer is instantly no. Too expensive, taxes are crazy, and it's not worth my time, okay? However, I'm going through the same thing today in New York. New York is also very expensive. Now, my response has been, hey, you know what? I don't want to buy a 400K or 700K multifamily home. I don't want to do that, okay? Plus, I don't really like living in New York that much. It's not all that, okay? I'm being honest here. So my response is this, okay? If I want to get into real estate and I'm brand new to it, do I want to go ahead and buy a property out of state to complicate things? But tell me, what about a property manager? In reality, they cost around 6 to 8%. That is expensive when you're buying your very first property and it's not cash flowing that much. Plus, it's your first one. So you're really brand new to the game. And in reality, you don't want to risk it and complicate it that much. So usually the common advice is this: you want to buy a property within your area. That way you can manage it correctly and be, for example, driving distance. That way everything is a lot more easier. So the real question here for me to you, Hernandez, would be, hey, do you really want to live in California? For example, for me, I'm moving from New York and going to Florida. This way things are a lot easier to actually do. But in reality, I also do most of my work online, so I can pick up and go anywhere really and still make a lot of money. However, some jobs don't pay as much in Florida. So you might take a pay cut, but in reality, it's cheaper. So you got to average everything out. But usually your first property, it might be your very own first, but you don't want to complicate it by basically, hey, I'm going to buy a property in I don't know where, in an area I don't understand, don't know anything about, and in reality, it might be a massive risk. Now, let's go on to question number 2 here, okay? Question number 2 is not a question. No question. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, okay? It's by Karinya 3. By the way, I'm sorry if I described your name incorrectly, but thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Karinya 3. I think that's how you say it, okay? But thank you a lot, okay? Now, third question. Do I need a job to file taxes to open up a retirement account? Well, you're probably talking about a Roth IRA, for example, a traditional IRA. And yes, you do require to have some form of income to go ahead and start investing, for example, into a Roth IRA. However, if you want to invest, for example, into a taxable account, you don't need any income, but you do need money to go ahead and invest. But for Roth IRAs, also traditional IRAs, also 401ks usually issued by the company, you do need to have employment, okay? If you're worried about retirement, you also have to be worried about, hey, do I have money coming in to go ahead and invest, okay? Your earning power is the most important thing. But this could also mean, hey, Tommy, maybe I have a job, but I don't get paid like, you know, on the books, so I'm worried about it. For retirement accounts, in reality, that's complicated, but you can invest money into a taxable account. But I highly recommend whenever you get a job and follow all the rules and file your taxes. This way you're good to go and you don't get in trouble, okay? By the way, that question was by thebomb_123. Cool name, bro. Now, fourth question is by the semi-meme plug, okay? How do you go ahead? That's my uncle calling me, by the way. This is a real video, okay? How do you work against risk? Also, do you need risk management, okay? The answer is yes. Risk is always something involved in everything you do, whether it's real estate or stocks or business. There's always risk there, and you always need to manage it. So, for example, whenever I go out there and if I buy a stock, I have to buy it, for example, with a safety of margin of at least 20%. This way, if it crashes, I'm good to go. To do this, you need to learn exactly how to go out there and value a company. This book right here will help you a ton. With real estate, you also need to analyze risk. When it comes to a business, you also need to analyze risk. Risk is always important to analyze, and you always want to take the road where basically the least risk is involved. This way, you come out winning a lot of money, but don't carry that much risk. You know, people say you gotta risk it all. No, you don't. You don't have to risk anything, okay? In reality, you understand the risk because risk comes from not knowing. You understand the risk, you manage it, and then you go into your profits. But this way, the risk isn't, hey, if everything goes wrong, you lose everything, okay? That's not what you want. You don't want to lose everything if things go wrong here. So yes, risk management is very important. If you don't know something, go out there and find out everything about it, and this way you can analyze the risk, okay? Now, that question was by the semi-meme plug, so shout out to you. Now, the fifth question is by Lee Health Time. By the way, I'm getting super hot under all these lights with a hoodie, okay? But the question is, if you do your moderate portfolio, how are the percentages supposed to look on the day as usual? In reality, they're going to fluctuate, but it does not matter that much. In reality, what you want to do is make sure that they don't fluctuate to the point where everything is out of balance. By the way, okay, let's just go to my portfolio right here on M1 Finance because basically I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so let's click right here on invest. Here's our portfolio right here. As you can tell, okay, my target is 38, 16, 14, 10, but it's obviously not always going to be perfect, okay? Because right now it's like 9.9, but in reality, it does not matter that much. So the thing I like about M1 Finance is basically every time you invest, the money is invested in the correct way. This way is always balanced, and that's basically what you want. So it will fluctuate on a daily basis, but the answer is if you're investing weekly, the same amount of money, in reality, it won't fluctuate that far, and that's what you want. You want to do dollar cost average, and that's what I recommend. Now, by the way, great question, okay? Now, sixth question, how do taxes work when investing in index funds / bonds and not cashing out? Do you report? Well, the only thing you report, you have to report everything, by the way, is not your gains, because basically your gains are not realized yet. So you only report your gains in a way of pay taxes on it when you basically realize it. Realizing it means, hey, I grabbed my gains and actually sold it. But if you're not doing that, they're unrealized, so you don't actually get taxed on it, unless it's a tip, because tips actually get taxed on the gain, which is crazy. That's a bond, by the way. It's called Treasury Inflation Protected Bonds, or securities, whatever you want to call it. But the answer is they do get taxed on gains before you actually realize them. It's crazy, I know. But as far as index funds and bonds, in reality, you don't get taxed until you sell, but you will get taxed on the dividends. And you do have, for example, ordinary dividends and also qualified dividends, which is also taxed differently. So you also want to look that up. But basically, as long as you don't sell, you don't have to worry about anything. But if you do sell, you realize it, and then you have to go ahead and basically say, hey, I made money. They'll tell you, by the way, and then you go ahead and pay taxes. If you lost, you can also go ahead and deduct that from your taxes also. Now, great question, by the way, and that was by CJ Goblin. Okay, awesome. Now, let's go on to question number, I lost track. Let's just keep moving on with these questions, okay? Now, and how much should I start investing with so that I can see progress over time long term? The answer is usually the first step is you want to be debt free. And then you also want to get, for example, a fully blown emergency fund. This way you're secure, have a foundation, and then you finally want to get into investing. And at that point, I recommend if it's just you and you're single, okay, do 20% of every single paycheck you actually get. If it's you and your kid, then it's around 25%. And that's your 5 for a 529 account. This way, that kid has money for the future for college. This way, they don't have to worry about a bunch of debt, okay? That's the core idea there. So if you're debt-free, not having expenses, in reality, you want to do around 20%. And by the way, that is a great question, which is by GH Ghiobertz, okay? Ghiobertty. I don't know how to say that, okay? So that's why I just spelled out your name, okay? Now, let's move on to next question, which is by Eric. And the question is, what do you think the future for cannabis stocks will be like in the upcoming years? The answer is, I don't know. That's not my game at all. And, you know, I used to be embarrassed about that, but in reality, you know, when you're an investor, it's impossible to be like, hey, I know about cannabis, I know about technology, I know about banking, I know about all this stuff. In reality, no. You have a strength, okay? You have a strength where your strength lies, and you focus on that right there. So, in reality, I can't tell you anything about cannabis. In reality, that is not my game right there. But if you do want to find out about that, you have to specialize in it, understand the market, and understand exactly how to go out there and analyze a company as a whole. And to do that, you need to go ahead and read this book right here. Because, by the way, cannabis can be a great industry, but if you pick the wrong company, you might just go ahead and lose all your money. So you also need to understand, how do I analyze that business I want to invest into, okay? But in the future, do I see that being a big market? Well, states are legalizing it, all that stuff. So in reality, it could be. But again, that's not my game, and I'm also not interested in it whatsoever, okay? But great question, though. But you need to research it if that's what you actually want to get into. And this question was by Eric Newmans, okay? So thank you for that question, bro. Now, the next question is by the same person. Well, I have repeated questions here, okay? How can you check the net income of a business? Well, net income is basically your gross minus all your expenses and taxes, okay? So that's basically it. So for example, if I am going to sell this phone right here, by the way, net income is also in the cash flow statement, I think, or the income statement. It should be right there. So everything is right there in the income statement or the cash flow statement. However, if it's, for example, just in general, in reality, if I have a phone and I sell it for like $50 and it cost me $40 to do that, my net is around $10, okay? It's basically what your gross income was, minus your costs. Usually, that's in the income statement, okay? That's what you want to look for in the income statement. Now, by the way, again, investors, okay? Read this book right here. It'll help you out a ton when it comes to all of those questions, okay? Now, next question. Next question is, I want to start an M1 Finance account. I would like to know if it's okay to start with mixed portfolio. It sounds like you want to start with different portfolios. The answer is usually, what I noticed is basically, when you try to basically spread yourself too thinly, it usually does not work, okay? If you want to invest 20%, have a balanced portfolio, invest in that, and concentrate your efforts in that portfolio right there. You don't want to invest, for example, I want a piece of this, piece of this, piece of this, piece of this. Because in reality, you end up having nothing, okay? So usually, you want to be very, how do I say this? You want to be very purposeful with whatever you actually picking to do. So usually, you want to have one portfolio, invest into that, make sure it's diversified, and that way you're good to go. But you don't want to spread yourself way too thin, okay? That's what my advice actually is here. Now, first time investing in the market, I bought a few books and watching your channel. That's not a question, but I appreciate it. The answer is yes. If you want to invest, you probably realize that basically usually you don't want to do it, because usually it's a lot of work to run 4 to 8 hours every single day researching companies, and that's a lot of work for people, okay? Especially if you have like a full-time job and also a kid, as I can also see, okay? So usually what you want to do is invest usually into index funds. That way it's like more passive, everything's taken care of. But that's my advice there. Last question is, can I work for you? Great question. Right now, I'm not hiring just yet, but I appreciate the effort and also the enthusiasm, okay? But currently, I just make videos on YouTube. I edit them, I post them, I do all that stuff, and I actually still enjoy the process. So when I stop enjoying the editing part, I'll probably export it. But for right now, it's okay. Okay, so thank you for the offer, but I'm not hiring just yet. But guys, that has been all the questions you guys have to ask me for today, so I really appreciate that. Any more questions, comment down below, let me know. And for next time, I will be around asking more questions. This way I can respond to them in this video. If you like this video right here, well, like this video on top of that. Also, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. And by the way, I also thought about answering DMs, but you know what? That's personal, so I can't really answer DMs. So I kind of said, no, let's not do that, okay? But questions, you guys participated, you wanted me to answer them, so that's why I answer these questions. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe. And on top of it, if you want to text me, talk to me one-on-one, join my Patreon, link down below, or send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And before I go, if you want to watch a full video on how I invest and all that stuff, here's a video right here. Just tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.